Welcome to your Lyddie introduction paragraph. Before we begin, I want to simply point out that the organizer in your essay packet is optional, so if you find it useful, go ahead and use it. Otherwise, keep watching and you can start right in with your writing. The first part of your introduction paragraph is going to be your hook. The idea of the hook is it's supposed to grab the reader's attention and get them thinking about the topic. For our hook, we're going to talk about 4 possibilities. You could write a question that gets the reader thinking about the topic. You could use a quote, maybe an interesting quote from the book, or you could even use Google and look up a quote about working conditions. Or you could give information on the topic of working conditions. Again, you could use Google, you could look up information about working conditions and give some background. And lastly, you could use an imagine if scenario. So you could ask the reader to imagine being in Lyddie's situation in the book. My hook says, can you imagine being a 13-year-old with the responsibility of saving your family? This is what happens to Lyddie Worthen in the book Lyddie by Katherine Paterson. You'll also notice that I included the name of the book, Lyddie, and the author's name, Katherine Paterson. So you need the hook, and you need the title, and you need the author. The next part of your introduction is going to be the background. In the background, what we need to do is we need to give a basic summary of the book, the most important things that happen. And I'm going to suggest that the 3 things you really need to cover are what happens with the farm and her family, Cutler's Tavern, and Lyddie going to the factory. So when I read my background, it sounds like this. Oh, sorry, you also need to talk about the petition and why they're signing it and what it is. So my background looks like this. When Lyddie is fired from the tavern, let's start here. She is hired out by her mentally frail mother to work at Cutler's Tavern in order to repay the family's debt. When Lyddie is fired from the tavern, she takes it as an opportunity to earn more money by becoming a factory girl in Lowell, Massachusetts. Once she arrives, though, she discovers that the work is much harder than she had imagined. The hours are long, the factory is noisy, the air is filthy, and the work is strenuous. To combat these difficult conditions, some of the factory girls, like Diana Goss, are circulating a petition for a 10-hour workday. Lyddie must decide whether or not to sign this petition. So that's a pretty long summary, but it gets us all the way from the farm and her family when everything goes poorly, all the way to the factory when she's deciding whether or not to sign the petition, and that's what your summary needs to do. That leads us to the thesis. Your thesis is like an umbrella for the whole essay. We could talk about it as the claim or the gist. It's the big idea of the whole essay, and in this case, it's the answer to the question of should she sign the petition. That will be your thesis. So my thesis simply says that the best decision for Lyddie is to sign the petition. That's a simple thesis, but if you remember from the counterclaim video, we're also trying to put a counterclaim in at least one spot in our essay. So if you want to put your counterclaim in the introduction, it might look something like this. Instead of just saying the best decision is to sign the petition, I could say, though some people would argue that Lyddie should not sign the petition because she needs to earn money for her family, the best decision for Lyddie is to sign the petition because her health and safety are more important. So I've said the other side's best argument, and then I've said why it's wrong because Lyddie needs to sign the petition for her health and safety. So that is what my introduction looks like. Yours might look different, especially if you said no, she should not sign the petition. Yours will look different. Please don't copy my exact words, but this should give you some ideas. Good luck.
Created using Powtoon.